So Heath wants to get 3 of his top 15 wide receivers. Can he do that? Let's ask him right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to the wide receivers preview, part 1. Heath, yeah, I teased it. You want to get 3 of your top 15? Luckily, with your rankings and ADP, seems like you can do it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true for most people. There's going to be 1 or 2 guys that are in your top 15 that are not in the consensus top 15, and those are the guys you're going to take in round 5 or 6, and that's how you're going to get 3 of your top 15. But sometimes you might have to be a little bit more aggressive. You might have to go 3 of your first 5 picks, 3 of your first 4 picks of receivers, and there are certain situations I'm okay with that, but it must be a situation where I have to start 3 receivers, and it must be a full PPR league.
What is your favorite value, draft value for Tampa Bay?
Oh, by far and away, it's Antonio Brown. I don't like Chris Godwin or Mike Evans at their current ADP, and I love Brown. He actually led the team in targets and receptions per game last year. He's getting rave reviews at camp, and he makes me like he's the reason that I don't get Evans or Godwin because I'm not 100% sure they're both going to outperform him.
And he's going about 100th overall, whereas Evans and Godwin are going in the 4th round. Who is your favorite value on Dallas?
I think it's turning into Amari Cooper. For most of the summer, I've said it's Michael Gallup, but Lamb is now pushed up to the 12th wide receiver, and I think Cooper is fallen a little bit. But I don't really have occasion to draft any of them very often, unless it's like a best ball and I've ended up with Dak. I just think Zeke's going to be involved. You look at the target share last year, not the total targets because they were on pace for 7,000 passing yards when Dak was quarterback, but look at the target share, and it doesn't really show you a path to multiple top 15 wide receivers. It's too spread out.
Okay, who is your favorite value on Cincinnati? And that would be Jamar Chase, 61st, T. Higgins, 71st, Tyler Boyd, 90th.
Yeah, if Tyler Boyd's all the way back at 90th in full PPR, then he's by far my favorite value. I don't have a lot of use for him in non-PPR, though. And Chase is my favorite, and then Higgins, and then Boyd. But yeah, Boyd for sure.
And I'm kind of interested in Higgins. I like Boyd. You know, he's a Julian Edelman kind of number 2 receiver in PPR.
I do think that there's an underrated chance that Chase just spoils both of them because he's Justin Jefferson.
Could be. Higgins has more upside than Boyd.
For sure.
And he's going 10 now, now 10 picks later than Chase. It's going to really depend on your drafts. They've been back-to-back for a long time, but it's interesting. Okay, how about Pittsburgh? Deontay Johnson, 55th, Claypool, 69th, Juju Smith-Schuster, 72nd.
Definitely Juju for me, and I just think that his efficiency from last year, I talk a lot of times about guys who average 11 yards a target or 17 yards a reception and say they have to regress, they can't be that good. Juju's been so much better. Even the year he played with backup quarterbacks, he was more efficient than he was last year playing with Ben Roethlisberger. I think we'll see him break a few more tackles, have a couple more big plays, and still get a large share of the targets. I like Juju as a top 24 wide receiver in full PPR.
One thing we talked about was, is there really a big difference between the wide receivers going in round 4, which would be Evans, Julio, Woods, Chris Godwin, Cooper, Adam Thielen, and the wide receivers going in round 6, which would be Ayuk, Galladay, Beckham, Claypool, Higgins, Juju. Is there a big difference? Is there a big gap between them?
I think there's not a very big gap between your favorite guy going in round 6 and the round 4 guys. Like, I do not like Odell Beckham or a couple other guys going in round 6. And there's a huge difference for me between the round 4 guys and those guys. But between those round 4 guys and Juju and Claypool, no, I don't think there's a big difference at all. And a lot of times Lockett's in that same conversation.
Yeah, Lockett is 51st overall, so he's in round 5. All right, well, that's something to consider. We talked a lot more about that, plus some sleepers, breakouts, and busts. Check it out on Wide Receiver Preview Part 1 in the Fantasy Football Today feed. Also, check out our new Fantasy Football Today DFS podcast. That's what it's called, Fantasy Football Today DFS. For Heath, I'm Adam. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today in 5.